Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the InsurTech Summit 2021. I hope that previous session, the panel discussion that we just had, proved to be knowledgeable and you learned something new from it. Next up, we have a very extraordinary gentleman joining us all the way from Cape Town in South Africa. Let's welcome Mr. Jeremy Leach. He's the founder and CEO, Inclusivity Solutions, and he's going to be talking to us about digital insurance distribution. Jeremy, the floor is yours.
Good morning, all, and thank you. It's really nice to connect. Morning in South Africa, and really keen to understand a bit more about what's going on. I've got a few minutes to present some lessons around digital insurance. After hearing the last session, I thought I'd do it slightly differently and talk about a bit about some of the lessons we experienced in innovating in this space. So if I may, we're basically InsurTech focused around digital insurance in emerging markets. Our primary launches so far have been in the African markets. I think we're across 6 different countries at the moment in Africa, with a couple of initiatives kicking off in kind of Southeast Asia as well. Hoping they'll come live in the near future. We basically provide an end-to-end service from engaging with distribution partners, banks, mobile operators, platforms, provide the full end-to-end service right through to processing claims with the insurance companies who are our insurance partners. Some of the logos are below. So I guess we all know that innovation is messy, and all this digital insurance space has been severely hyped in the area, and there's a lot of potential, but at the end of the day, there are still a lot of lessons to learn. Insurance is often still a grudge purchase, and it's not always the one that people will immediately kind of gravitate to. We heard that from Rehan in the previous session. So we need to be able to test and learn and really kind of innovate around the needs of the customer, around the customer experience and the value add that you're trying to address. So again, if you look at this picture from the Harvard Business Review document, you can see that creativity is generally kind of messy and fudgy, and yet you need to also have the discipline and management to learn fast. And at the moment, I think in every kind of conversation, every news press, obviously COVID is driving pretty much kind of everything. I see in South Africa, our lockdown kind of period at different levels of lockdown is now on around 497 days. So COVID's been going for a long time, and we're in our 3rd wave here in South Africa, and again various restrictions are in place. So COVID is certainly dominating everything from even kind of conversations to all the Zoom discussions, but it also plays a major role in the insurance space, and I think other discussants have said the same thing, where COVID is clearly highlighting views of risk. And if you look at it, behavioral economics around insurance, if you think about your future, you're more likely to think insurance may play a role. And with COVID threatening our futures in many different ways, economically, kind of socially, and others, and preventing ability to even kind of go to spiritual worship or others, COVID is a big driver of change. So we expect to see COVID driving take up of insurance if done well, and insurance and reinsurance companies double down in that area, which has not always been the case. So I'm going to use this little circle to give you a sense of, what we do, what gets some of the lessons that we've experienced in different areas of the kind of the value chain, if you don't mind. So firstly, product development. Again, what's often happened is basically companies will take a product from the upper end of the market and say, this is going to work at the kind of the mass market space, or take it from one country and think it's definitely going to work in another market. So we invest quite a lot in our what we call human-centered design and market research. And let me give you a couple of analogies. So this is some time ago when I was still in my consulting era, but 2 big mobile operators in Africa, Vodacom or Vodafone and Tigo, had significant experience or positive experience in South Africa and Ghana with funeral insurance, basically cover the cost of funerals, and saw significant uptake and saw that there was real demand for the customers. So they thought, great, well, let's take this to roll this out across our other markets. And they both launched it in Tanzania, thinking you'd have the same positive impact in the market. Clients are ringing up saying, why are you cursing us? Why are you wishing us dead? Now, clearly, that is not good for the brand. It is not good for the experience. So again, you need to ensure that when you are launching products, you really understand the cultural drivers and the needs on the market. Otherwise, you can have a significant negative kind of impact. So again, on our side, we spend a lot of time really understanding the needs of the customers and then tweaking them kind of as required. The challenge of that is you can't always believe the research. I mean, that's clear. I mean, behavioral economics kind of also shows that you need to observe behavior. And we've learned that the hard way. A few years ago, we basically heard that clients wanted to pay by a certain mechanism, and it made a lot of sense. It's mobile money, and one of the African countries, it was taking off. But after launch, we found that only, I think, about 6% of people had sufficient money to pay their premium in a month, which was only $1. So people weren't using mobile money in this African country in a way that made sense for insurance space. So again, whilst you've got to listen to customers, you've also got to observe their behavior and ensure that it meets their needs. So you understand the products that are most suitable for the market, and then really understand, how to engage with them in a way that actually makes sense. So a lot of our markets, we've seen kind of simple health coming out as a real priority, and we've rolled this out in a number of markets. Because again, I think it's becoming even more relevant in COVID times. And what's interesting around health, looking at another market, is we found that whilst the biggest perception of risk was health, and may well be the case now with COVID, actually the biggest impact was life, the death of the main income earner. So again, we need to basically understand what is the needs of the customer, and as against what is the, the perception or requirement, and respond kind of accordingly. And again, the challenge around these type of products is it needs to be effectively digitized. You need to be able to launch these products in a way that you can support scale. And that digitization needs to be covered at different levels. It needs to come at the kind of sales point. It needs to come from whether you use USSD, SMS, kind of WhatsApp, or the partners apps. I have to say I'm still not a great fan of standalone insurance apps, unless it's something you're going to use on a regular basis. We just don't seem the people aren't going to use an app on a regular basis to check it unless it links into their health issues, or like in COVID, you're having to turn your insurance on and off depending on whether you're driving or not. So you need to have something that's useful and you engage on a daily basis to make sense. So again, often the best app is something like a WhatsApp or a banking app, which you use kind of regularly. And again, we've also learned that digital only goes so far. We're still learning and we're still seeing that insurance often needs beyond digital contact. You need to engage with the call center or agents on the ground to create better understanding of the needs of the customer, make it more tangible. So again, when we look at the type of models to engage with customers, you really need to think about a broad range, what we call an omni-channel model, from the basic kind of SMS to USSD to smartphone-enabled models through to call centers and agents. And again, we experiment across those markets. And just another anecdote in Cote d'Ivoire, where smartphones are growing fast in those markets. But again, that's not always the case. We looked to launch an agent-based model in Cote d'Ivoire, looking to use smartphones to make it easier for sign-up. We found none of the agents we were engaging with had smartphones or on feature phones. So again, you need to respond around your digital journey in a way that makes sense for the market kind of on the ground, and not just assume that they can all take kind of a high-end kind of technology side. So again, on that digital journey, we need to again think through from policy acquisition and how you sign up customers, as I've just spoken about, how you administer policies in terms of how do you change your level of cover, how do you pay any way you want, from whether it's embedded, bundled, or recurring payments, from daily, weekly, or monthly payments. And that's critical in your journey. So again, thinking through how to digitize that process. And of course, claims is the most kind of critical issue. And we need to pay claims fast and quickly in hours rather than months, which is the typical kind of journey. So again, in all our markets, we ensure that clients can send and engage by the most basic means, whether it's USSD or WhatsApp or email, again, to send documentation and validate and turn around extremely fast. So again, it's critical to understand the full digital journey to drive kind of takeoff. And again, this is just an example of what we've experienced in the market. We basically had one particular customer journey over time, and saw that by minor tweaks, by changing, testing, and learning, you can have significant takeoff. So again, what's critical in these journeys is ensuring, obviously, understanding that your platform is entirely suitable for the market, your product is suitable for the market, but that's not enough in and of itself. You need to test and learn and tweak your products as required. I believe Anza's now saying it's time to wrap up. So thank you for your time, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to engage with you further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. That was enlightening to say the least. We hope and pray that you do well in life, and you've given us quite many insights into the kind of work that you're engaged in, and forecasts for the future as well. Thank you, and stay in touch, and we'll hear more from you in the future. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep watching. There is a panel discussion coming up with some of the top notch speakers of Pakistan who are going to be talking about a very important topic, which is insurance and innovation. So stay tuned, keep us updated with your comments and feedback. If you want to learn more about Jeremy, we've shared some links in the description.